Hello, how are you? I need your energy. Hello. Thank you, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I think we advanced. There we go. I'm here to share with you a point of view. I have a particular point of view that if every one of us considered ourselves as dream makers, meaning that we believe that individually and collectively we could co-create, envision a dream of the world we want to live in. And then we gathered people around us. We attracted people who shared that same vision. We could put it to work to create the world that we want. So yes, the world has ended as we know it. We know that there are crises everywhere. The divisiveness is deep, and you've been hearing over and over again about if we don't do something urgently, our trajectory is terrible. Then came COVID, and in some ways, as devastating as it was, the silver lining is that Mother Nature sent us to our room. She gave us a timeout. And so we all went home and had to think about what's going on. What kind of life do I want to live? What kind of world do I want to help co-create? Do I want to have children? And what kind of world do I want my children and grandchildren to experience? And what has happened as I travel around the world, and I travel a lot, is that people now in every country, in every city, in every family are asking some fundamental questions. How and what kind of world do I want to live in? Where do I want to contribute my gifts? So I'm going to go past the broken world because we know enough about that. A lot of times we forget that we have done and should celebrate some phenomenal accomplishments. In 2015, what happened? 194 countries got together and signed off on 17 goals, global goals. Never in the history of the world had that happen. And as you've heard earlier, the goals are not simply in silos. They are integrated goals from gender equity to poverty to decent work to zero hungry to good health, because we're understanding that everything that we do is interdependent. And you've heard that over and over again. So my quest over the last 30 years is I've been going around the world and finding dream makers, individuals, organizations, communities, and even one country who believed in a big, bold vision, a dream, and gathered people together and made that dream come true against tremendous obstacles. The latest book is called DreamMakers, Innovating for the Greater Good. And what I have discovered from this quest is that if you mobilize people around a compelling vision that they helped co-create, and that's born out of their deeply held shared vision, and then you liberate them, you invite them to work together to make that dream come true, contributing their gifts, energy, and ideas to make that dream come true. People can do anything. These are some of the places that I found unusual stories. I mean, I've got hundreds of them, but I found it in a prison. I found it in a Fortune 200 company, in a non-for-profit, in the country of Aruba, and in this little organization called Green in the Ghetto. And I just want to highlight, in the interest of time, a couple of these stories. Now, I'm going to start with the Herman Miller story because I was there for 13 years, and it was my Camelot. So that company got in trouble, and we decided that we were going to go to the people, because the people are closer to the issues, to the customer, to the products. But we were in such trouble that the 7 of us on the top management team decided we have to ask the people who they want to become. And so we asked every employee worldwide, collectively about 25,000 people, what kind of company do you want Herman Miller to become? And so they worked in teams, and the information came back. And they said they want to be a reference point for excellence, comma, by any measure. And then we had a leadership team meeting and said, by any measure, how are we going to do this? So we asked the question, what kind of values would we have to co-create together to institutionalize in our organization to become an organization of excellence by any measure? And so we went back to the people in teams in a disciplined way, but they came back with 7 values. And those were, they wanted to be customer focused, they wanted to lead the company with collaboration and teamwork, they wanted shared ownership, they wanted best products in the world, they wanted equity and inclusion, they wanted to become a learning organization, and they wanted to become financially fluid. What happened? We put them in teams. Not only did they help co-create the vision, which was born out of their shared values, but then we put them in teams to come up with the solutions, to close the gap between the dream they co-created and the current reality. And what happened? Within 18 months, we became the best company in the world to work for, the best company for women, the best company for working mothers, the most environmentally responsible company in the world. We were Fortune magazine's most admired company for 7 years. We best products in the world. And if you want to talk about money, the next 3 years we had 2 stock splits in 3 years. And I'm going to tell you what the metaphor was that really got us going. Those teams came up with a metaphor of or an analogy of an 8-year-old child. If an 8-year-old child sees a red Herman Miller truck anywhere in the world, they will have a feeling of excellence. That means we couldn't spew stuff into the environment. We couldn't work their families so that they couldn't go to the soccer game or to the play. We had to have an environment of celebration as well as work. We wanted people to run to work and enjoy. And so my point was that we co-created a company of DreamMakers. Another example I want to show to contrast that is Green in the Ghetto. There were 3 young black men in Cleveland, Ohio. They went off to college. They came from a devastating environment where they were dumping pollutants in their neighborhood. There were no grocery stores because it was a food desert. And they came back together after college and they said, we have a dream. Their dream was to transform that neighborhood into a flourishing community. So they went to the city and said, gift us this land and let us work magic with the people. And so they organized the people, and they transformed all of that land into a flourishing organic farm in the middle of the city, in the middle of in the middle of Cleveland, right behind the Cleveland Clinic. And so they then went to young people who wanted to open up businesses and said, okay, listen, we will sell our products to you, and so you'll have fresh fruits and vegetables in the neighborhood, because a food desert means that that community had to travel 25 miles to get a fresh tomato. So they grew all of these wonderful fruits and vegetables, and then the stores, the local stores, they provided those with them, and so it's circular economics. So it's just an amazing, and it's in my book, by the way, DreamMakers. It's an amazing story. Then they said, okay, we have all these kids here. Why don't we teach them to do the same? So they then invited the entire neighborhood in and taught them organic farming. And so not only were they doing it in their backyards, but they were coming and gathering in this, it's about 7 acres. And the community was gathering there. And so they decided, let's teach them. And then that grew to a learning center. And that learning center now is a thriving, beautiful learning center. And so what I'm trying to show is the power of 3 people who had a dream. They looked at a situation that seemed like there's nothing you could do. And they began to put that dream to work. And they were 21, 22, and 23 years old. The results were phenomenal. I want to talk a little bit about Aruba, the country of Aruba. So I was called in to just work with them. They had decided that they wanted a post-colonization identity. So they had gotten their independence from the Dutch in 1976, but like all colonized places, changing the mindset, both between the people who colonize and the people who are colonized, is quite a task. And so they decided, let's gather all of the people of Aruba together. And let me see if I can find that example for you. Oh, I didn't put it in here. Okay. And so they invited them all in, and they said, what is your vision for an Aruba going forward? And so they sent invitations to every resident of Aruba and asked them to contribute their vision. They got back about 30%, which was phenomenal. And then it still seemed like it was going too slow, so they decided to invite the children. We had a steering committee, which was cross-community, and so they invited all of the children to submit their vision, but they ran it through the school system. And so the children just came alive, you can imagine, through art, through song, through essays. And so on top of having every household contribute their vision, or at least inviting them to, and then running it through the school system where they contribute their vision, it just began to, it was a campaign. It was the energy that just was across the nation. They had kiosks in the shopping malls. You know, have you contributed your vision yet? Have you contributed your vision? And we worked with the local university and just pulled out the themes and worked. Now, this is a unique country because there are 53 nationalities in Aruba. And so you have a lot of different interests, a lot of different cultures. But they co-created, all they wanted to become is one happy island nation. The result was they ended up with 7 results, 7 impacts. The biggest one is that their language, which was considered a bastard language, Papiamento, and Papiamento is Dutch, English, a little bit of Japanese, a little bit of indigenous, actually a little bit of French. And it's all together. And they used to look at it as a bastard language, where Dutch was a prominent language. And they made it, as a result of that, the official language of Aruba. So they were able to see this come alive. The same with the school system. The school system shifted its priorities because one of the goals was they wanted to educate their children for the 21st century versus the 20th. And so they have very advanced education systems there. Even how we're governed, and they even went as far as spiritual development. And even as far as the kind of tourists they wanted. They did not want tourists that were messing with their fauna and flora and environmentally degrading their country. So they changed their systems to attract eco-tourists. So it's a very, very interesting story. And I talk a little bit about why I'm passionate about that is because I am one of the most fortunate people in the world because I had two parents who were dream makers. They believed that anything was possible if you mobilized around a compelling vision. And so you have to understand I'm a baby boomer, and so life was pretty rough for us as African Americans in the United States. And when we lived in Kentucky, every day going to school, people would call me the N-word, right? 50, 60 times a day, cars passing by, teachers, principals. In those days, it was just acceptable. But my father every morning would get us up individually, and we'd have to look at ourselves in the mirror, and I'd have to look at myself in the mirror and look at him looking at me in the mirror standing behind me, and I'd have to say, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm beautiful, I'm intelligent, I'm loving, I'm loved, and I'm wise. And he'd make me say it 7 times. And I'd say to myself, and you're nuts. But I would continue to do that and continue to do that. And after a while, when someone tried to project a vision on me of who I was, it bounced off because my father and I collectively co-created a shared vision of who I was. And so I was able to, all of us, navigate through some tremendous obstacles as a result of being led by a powerful, compelling vision that grew out of our deeply held shared values as a family. So where are we? We heard all this information today. Some of it scary, some of it hopeful. But it's our time. If you're alive on this planet right now, you're here because you're supposed to be. We are the people who are supposed to change this world. There's no one else but us. And so this Maya Angelou, a poet, said the charge of the children who come into maturity in the 21st century will be to eliminate warfare, promote equality, exile disease, establish justice, and increase joy. And so we are the pioneers of our time. When I was younger, I used to think to myself, you know, God, it must have been fun to be an explorer or a pioneer. But we're pioneers and explorers not because we're trekking into the wilderness or sailing off into space, but because we're at a point in time where we have to co-create a brand new world. Status quo is over. The past has relinquished its hold on the future, and it is up to us to define who we are, who do we want to become, and how do we want to treat each other and the environment on that journey to our dream. If we don't, I mean, that's the greatest innovation, is a shift in mindset. We can do all this technical stuff, but if we don't shift who we believe we can become together, and let that be born out of our deeply held shared values, then no matter what we fix through technology, through strategy, that old mindset will have us continue to co-create the past. So we need innovation in thinking. And that innovation, from my perspective, is to believe in the power of human beings when they mobilize around something that matters to them. And then they commit their gifts and time. So I want to invite you to dream for a second. Are you with me for that? Just 1 second. We don't have much time. So you're going to embark on a world-changing mission. And what I want you to do is to step out of your comfort zone. Take a risk. Understand if you don't do this individually or collectively, we don't have a chance. Nearly 8 billion people are on this planet. You can't tell me that if 8 billion people decided to do anything, that it can't be done. Imagine the energy that will be emoted from that. So, are you up for it? My invitation? Okay, all right. So it's not November 4th, I'm sorry about that. It's October 26th. Let's say 2027. We can't go too far out because things change fundamentally too quick. It's the very best day of your life. Every one of your hopes and dreams have come true. Your beautiful hopes and dreams. And not only just for you, but for your world. So would you take a deep breath and let that energy, that life force in? Close your eyes if you'd like. And I want you to wake up November 26th, 2027, the best day of your life. You are flourishing and the world is flourishing. Get up in the morning. You're waking up. How do you feel? See it, touch it. Look around at your room. What does it look like? Is there a window? Is there light? What's there? Look over, who are you laying next to? Now fast forward, and you can fill in the blanks there later. Okay, now you're at the breakfast table, and it's full of joy. Who's there? What's the quality of the conversation? What does it feel like, the energy? So fast forward that movie, and now you're on your way to contribute your gifts to a place and a project or initiative that you are absolutely freaking passionate about, but also one that makes a hell of an impact on people and the planet. See yourself. Where are you going? What does it feel like? What are your collaborators? What does it feel like to collaborate with people with a shared vision and shared values? Is there laughter as you work? As Edgar always says, it's got to be fun and it's got to be fast. Okay? Now it's the end of the day. Where do you go? Are you going to the gym? Are you going to volunteer somewhere else? Are you going to have a drink with friends? See yourself. Complete that dream. Now you're coming home. See the place that you're walking into. Is it a house? Is it an apartment? Is it a cottage? Is it a villa? No yeah buts. What does it look like? On the very best day of your life, you're at the dinner table once again. What's the quality of the conversation? And what's it feel like? And now you're resting to bed. And you're taking a deep breath and thinking, we did it. We did it. My life is flourishing. My family's flourishing. This planet is flourishing. We collectively, all 8 billion of us, put our hearts, minds, and imagination together, and we redesigned this world. Okay, you can wake up now. Hold that, and I would encourage you to actually go through that with yourself and go through every detail. Make it a movie. Make it vivid. What you're visualizing, right? And we all know the power of visualization. But the power of visualization with a collective group is phenomenal. And that's what all the DreamMakers did. Okay? I know we don't have much time. Just take 30 seconds and look at the person next to you just for 30 seconds and share what's the most exciting thing about that dream. Come on, just 30. We only have 30 seconds. Turn to somebody that's in front of you and back of you close, and what is the one thing that stood out about that dream? So anyone want to volunteer? What is the most important thing that stood out from that dream? Anyone want to share? Come on. Don't be shy, please. A hand?
Okay, I was telling, at this time it might be quite interesting to tell it, but peace and a healthy life as a first point. And then wealth, a wealthy life for all, with a better environment, and joyful kids.
And grandchildren?
And joyful kids.
And joyful. I would suspect. Anyone else want to share? Okay, it's end of the conference, right? No matter where you do this, no matter what group you talk to, and that group could be in the ghetto of Detroit, that group could be in Hollywood, in the hills, everyone comes up with the same transcendent impact that they want. Peace, love, joy. They want to make a difference, and they want to work with people that they can use their creativity and contribute their gifts to. So, come on, guys. Why not? Let's come together, and you can start where you are. You can go home today. Arthur Ashe, the great African-American tennis player, said, start where you are. You can go home today, and with your family, or with your child, or with your neighbor, or with your mother, you can go through a visioning with. But don't forget to ask them first what matters to you most, because I had to skip over the values exercise. Because your vision needs to be grounded or born out of what matters to you most in life. And if we do this, you do it with your child too. And by the way, if you have any young children right now, or children at all, please take them through that exercise. I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm beautiful, I'm intelligent, I'm loving, I'm loved, and I'm wealthy and wise. Please, because the mental health problems we have today are pervasive, because look at the world they're living in. But if you can elevate them out of their current reality and let them live in their dream. This is a little black girl who was called nigger every day, multiple times a day, who ended up the corporate vice president for people on a Fortune 200 company, who ended up working in President Clinton's administration helping to reinvent government, who ended up writing books and documentaries and going around shining a light on people who had a powerful vision, enlisted people in that vision, and it was born out of their values, and they're making their dreams come true. So in conclusion, okay, they cut me off. But in conclusion, we can co-create a new and better world. And so I challenge you to not just come to conferences, to start with where you are, and to begin that dialogue. Find out a group of people that you can work with. It's our time. Every human being is here right now because no matter what religion you're in, we came back or we came through to face the biggest challenges in humankind. And we came through because something in us attracted us to come back through the universe to be together to do this. Thank you very much.